All right, listen to me very carefully. If you're the kind of person who thinks grinding 16 hours a day makes you more productive, you're not a machine, you're a ticking time bomb. Give me a few minutes, and I'll prove why rest is actually the most productive thing you can do. Chapter 1, The Myth of Endless Grinding. Think about it for a second. Your phone has to charge, your laptop overheats if you keep running heavy apps nonstop. Even a Ferrari engine needs to cool down after the race. Yet somehow you think you're the one exception? Spoiler alert, you're not. And right now, I'm going to prove this to you. We live in a culture that worships at the altar of hustle. You've seen the clips. Entrepreneurs bragging about running on 3 hours of sleep. Influencers pounding down caffeine like it's water. People pulling all-nighters as if staying awake longer automatically makes them smarter, stronger, and more dedicated. Hustle has become the badge of honor. But here's the raw truth. Endless grinding doesn't make you unstoppable. It makes you self-destructible. Would you ever take your car, slam the accelerator to the floor, and just keep driving without stopping for days? No refuel, no oil change, no pit stop? Of course not. The engine would break down, the tires would wear out, and sooner or later you'd end up stranded on the side of the road. Yet, for some reason, we think our bodies and brains can take that kind of non-stop punishment. They can't. Underneath all the noise of go harder, work longer, you're running on fumes. And I'm not just talking theory. I lived this. I used to be the outwork everyone guy. I'd brag about staying up until 4 in the morning, grinding while everyone else was sleeping. It felt good in the moment, like I was building an edge. But let me tell you the truth. I'd wake up groggy, forgetful, and sluggish. I wasn't building an empire. I was dismantling myself one night at a time. That's the dangerous myth, thinking that being busy equals being productive. It doesn't. Spinning in circles is still motion, but it's not progress. Hamsters have been doing that forever, and they've yet to build a single empire. Productivity isn't about how many hours you work. It's about how much meaningful output you create. And ironically, when you cut out rest, your output crumbles. Society claps for the grind. They'll cheer you on for being the person answering emails at midnight, for being the one always on. But nobody claps when you crash. Nobody applauds when you burn out and end up staring at the ceiling, wondering why you feel empty inside. Endless grinding isn't a flex. It's a trap. The sooner you see through the illusion, the sooner you can break free and start working in a way that actually gets results. And that's where rest comes in, not as the enemy of work, but as its greatest secret weapon. Quick teaser. In the next chapter, I'll show you why rest doesn't just help. It's the foundation that makes everything else possible. Chapter 2. Rest as the foundation of productivity. Here's the twist nobody ever told me. Rest isn't the opposite of productivity. Rest is the foundation of productivity. Without it, everything else you're trying to build eventually falls apart. Think of it like this. Imagine a skyscraper, the tallest, most beautiful tower you've ever seen. It looks strong, it looks unstoppable. But if that building is sitting on a cracked foundation, what happens? One strong gust of wind and the whole thing collapses. That's what happens when you ignore rest. You're building your life and career on sand. For years, I lived by the motto, sleep when you're dead. I wore exhaustion like a championship belt. But exhaustion doesn't make you a champion. It makes you sloppy. I'd sit at my laptop wide awake but mentally fried, typing emails that didn't make sense. I'd stare at my to-do list like it was written in hieroglyphics. I thought I was being productive, but I was just dragging my half-functioning brain through mud. Then I learned about the law of diminishing returns. Here's the gist. The longer you keep pushing without rest, the less valuable each additional hour becomes. At first, you get some results, but then productivity starts to flatline. Studies show that once you pass around 50 to 55 hours a week, your output doesn't increase. In fact, after 70 hours, you're producing the same as you would at 50. All that extra grind, it's wasted energy. You're basically running in place, convincing yourself you're moving forward. Here's the paradox. Rest is when the breakthroughs happen. Ever notice your best ideas arrive in the shower or when you're drifting off to sleep? That's not an accident. That's your brain doing its best work when you stop forcing it. Work is where you collect the puzzle pieces. Rest is where the picture finally comes together. When I finally allowed myself to rest, something shocking happened. I got more done in fewer hours, with better quality. Instead of stretching myself thin over 12 hours, I'd laser focus for 5, then rest. The results? Way sharper, way faster, way better. Rest turned out to be the key I'd been missing all along. So let's kill the old narrative. Rest isn't weakness, rest isn't laziness. Rest is the foundation that makes high performance possible. Without it, you're not a top performer, you're just a tired one pretending. And speaking of performance, let's get into the science of how your brain actually works when you rest. Chapter 3: The Science of Rest in the Brain. Now, let's get into the science because this is where it gets fascinating. Rest isn't just nice, it's biological. If you ignore it, you're fighting against your own wiring. Let's start with the prefrontal cortex, the CEO of your brain. This is the part that handles focus, problem solving, decision making, and creativity. It's the boardroom where the big moves are made. But here's the thing: the CEO has limited stamina. Push it too hard, and it starts glitching. That's why you catch yourself rereading the same sentence over and over at night. That's why you make silly mistakes at 2 in the morning you'd never make at 9. Your brain's CEO is out of juice. Meanwhile, something else is happening behind the scenes. Your default mode network, the brain's background processing system, kicks in when you're not actively focusing. That's when creativity lights up. That's when connections are made between ideas. That's why you get shower thoughts. That's why ideas pop up during walks. The brain finally gets to do its job when you stop forcing it. And don't even get me started on sleep-dependent memory consolidation. That's science's fancy way of saying your brain literally takes the messy notes of the day and files them neatly while you sleep. Skip rest, and you're basically dumping your notes in a pile on the floor. Good luck finding what you need when it matters most. Then there's physical recovery. Sleep is when growth hormone spikes. It's when your muscles rebuild, your immune system resets, and your nervous system recharges. Without it, you're dragging yesterday's body into today's challenges. Here's the kicker: some of history's greatest minds knew this instinctively. Einstein was famous for his naps. Da Vinci experimented with polyphasic sleep, taking naps multiple times a day to keep his creativity alive. Modern athletes treat rest as sacred. Elite CEOs block out time for walks, vacations, and downtime. Not because they're lazy, but because they know their brain isn't a bulldozer. It's a Formula One car. It can hit insane speeds, but only if you respect the pit stops. Science doesn't just suggest rest, it demands it. And if you still think grind mode forever is the way, you're leaving half your brain power untapped. Now that you get the science, let's break down the different kinds of rest you actually need. Chapter 4: Different Types of Rest. When people hear the word rest, they think Netflix marathons. But true rest comes in many forms, and each plays a role in keeping you sharp. First, there's sleep. Not just lying down, but real quality sleep. 7 to 9 hours where your body repairs, your brain consolidates memories, and your emotions reset. It's like plugging into the most advanced repair system in existence. Cut it short, and you're showing up to life half-charged, glitchy, and moody. Then there are micro breaks. These are the tiny pauses throughout your day. 5 minutes to stand up, stretch, breathe, or just stare at the wall like an NPC questioning existence. Silly? Maybe. Powerful? Absolutely. Micro breaks keep your brain from overheating. They're like pit stops that keep you from blowing out the engine. Next is active rest. This isn't doing nothing. It's doing something different that recharges you. Walks, workouts, cooking, playing music, even tossing a ball with your dog. Athletes do this all the time. They don't just sit still when they're not training. They stretch, they swim, they move differently. The same principle applies to your brain. There's also creative rest. Stepping away from your usual grind to soak in inspiration, reading a novel, visiting a gallery, listening to music. Your brain is a sponge. It needs new inputs to create new outputs. If all you feed it is work, you'll eventually run dry. And then we have digital detox. Let's be honest, scrolling social media isn't rest. It's overstimulation disguised as downtime. It's like trying to relax while someone's blasting an air horn in your ear every 2 seconds. True digital rest is putting the phone away, even for a few hours, and letting your brain breathe. Finally, emotional rest. This one's overlooked but critical. Emotional rest means being around people who don't drain you. It means saying no when you need to. It means letting go of pretending you've got it all figured out. Sometimes the most restorative thing you can do is stop performing and just exist. Rest isn't one thing. It's a toolkit. The more tools you know how to use, the sharper, calmer, and stronger you'll be. And if you ignore them, trust me, you'll end up in the story I'm about to tell you next. Chapter 5. The Burnout Crash and Recovery Story. Let me take you into the crash, the darkest part of my journey. Burnout doesn't show up with alarms and flashing red lights. It sneaks in. It whispers at first. And then one day, it hits like a freight train. For me, it started with little warning signs. I'd wake up already tired. My focus felt like trying to catch smoke with my bare hands. Simple tasks, like replying to an email, felt like climbing a mountain. But instead of listening, I doubled down. I thought, if I just work harder, I'll break through. But the wall wasn't breaking. I was. Then came the crash. I remember the day clearly. It was just past 11 in the morning. I sat at my desk, coffee cold, inbox open, cursor blinking. And my brain? Empty, completely gone. It felt like someone had yanked the plug out of me. The things that used to light me up now meant nothing. Goals I once chased looked flat. I wasn't tired, I was hollow. That's burnout. Not tiredness, shutdown. So I did something radical, at least for me at the time. I stopped. A full week. No emails, no meetings, no productivity hacks. Just rest. At first, it felt wrong, like I was cheating, like I was falling behind. But by day 3, I felt human again. By day 5, ideas started bubbling up. By day 7, I was buzzing with more energy than I'd had in months. And here's the wild part. One of those ideas turned into one of the most successful projects of my life. It wouldn't have happened if I had kept grinding myself into dust. Burnout doesn't create breakthroughs. Rest does. I share this because most people wait until they crash before they allow themselves to rest. But you don't have to wait for the wall. You can choose rest before it chooses you. Which brings me to the question. How do you rest in a way that's actually productive? Chapter 6. How to rest productively. Now we get practical, because rest isn't just collapsing on the couch at the end of the day. Rest can be engineered. Rest can be strategic. Start with sleep hygiene. Treat sleep like the most important meeting of your life. Same bedtime, same wake time. Cool, dark, quiet room. No caffeine late. And for the love of productivity, put the phone down. No TikTok doom scrolling under the covers. Your brain needs the signal. It's time to power down. Next, embrace work-rest rhythms. Forget powering through 8 hours straight. Break it into cycles. Some people do 50 minutes of deep work followed by 10 minutes of rest. Others prefer 90-minute sprints with longer breaks. It doesn't matter which you choose. What matters is that you honor the rhythm. Work hard, then rest, then repeat. Plan active recovery. Don't stumble into it. Engineer it. Schedule a daily walk. Build in a hobby you love. Have an evening ritual that recharges you. Athletes don't treat recovery as optional. They program it in. Do the same for your mind. Set digital boundaries. If your phone is always buzzing, you're never resting. Make rules. No notifications during meals, no phone in bed. Maybe try a full digital Sabbath once a week. At first, it feels like phantom limb syndrome. Then it feels like peace. Build restful environments. Your brain associates places with activities. If your bed is also your office, no wonder you can't sleep. Separate your spaces. Desk for work, couch for reading, bed for sleep. And finally, learn the power of saying no. A lot of us aren't exhausted from work. We're exhausted from overcommitting. Guard your energy like treasure, because it is. Here's a quick recap checklist. Your 7-day rest sprint. Consistent sleep and wake times. Micro breaks every hour, a walk after lunch. No phone in bed. One deliberate no a day to protect your energy. Rest doesn't make you fall behind. It sets you up to leap ahead. And this is where the bigger picture comes in. Because this isn't just about you. It's about all of us. Chapter 7, The Rest Revolution. This is bigger than personal productivity. This is cultural. For decades, we've worshipped grind culture. Sleep when you're dead. Busy equals important. Hustle equals holy. But that system is broken. We need a rest revolution. Imagine if success wasn't measured by how many hours you logged, but by the clarity of your ideas, the sharpness of your focus, the quality of your energy. Imagine a culture where people bragged about insights, not exhaustion, where families weren't sacrificed on the altar of endless hustle, where rest was seen as wisdom, not weakness. Here's the good news. Science and results are already on our side. Companies that encourage real rest see higher productivity and better creativity. Athletes who recover outperform those who train nonstop. Creators who step away produce fresher, bolder work. Rest isn't slowing down, it's how you win. But here's the challenge: the revolution starts with you. The world won't clap when you rest. In fact, some people will look at you like you're lazy, but that's because they're still trapped in the old system. You're building the new one. So here's my call to action: join the rest revolution. Treat rest as a weapon, not a weakness. Protect your downtime like it's sacred. Build rhythms of recovery into your life the same way you build work schedules, and let's make this real. Comment, rest is a weapon if you're in. Let's flip the culture. Let's make rest the new flex. Because at the end of the day, rest isn't retreat. Rest is strategy. And if you embrace it, you won't just be more productive, you'll be unstoppable.